So I wasn't looking at the camera while I was setting up, and I really thought I ate. Phew, much better. This month, we are collectively practicing slayology, okay? Don't ask questions. Hi. Hello. Welcome back to my witch obsession. And in today's pick a deck, pick a card reading, we will be asking the question, what do people admire about you? I've had this idea for a while now, but I don't know, I just kind of held off on it, but today I'm just feeling it. I think I'm ready. Let's do it. But yeah, before anything, I must tell you, the lighting in this video is probably going to be really inconsistent. Some of these piles, it may start getting dark and I may turn the lamp on. I'm just letting you know, I feel a sense of responsibility to acknowledge the changes that may be coming throughout the video. But like, I'm sure you guys don't care, but like, I care. Just want to let you know. But anyways, so we'll just be looking at, like, what do people admire about you? It could be your appearance. It could be, your personality. It could be really anything, just like things they admire about you. So we have 4 piles here today. We have pile 1 with the Way of the Panda Tarot, pile 2 with the Midnight City Tarot, pile 3 with the Moon Void Tarot, and pile 4 with the Black Lion Tarot. Now, of course, if you've already chosen your pile, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe before you go to the description box for the timestamps. And also, if you like personal reading, I do offer those in my Etsy shop, which is also in the description box. Other than that, if you've already chosen your pile, see there. But if you'd like to sit and listen to me ramble for an extra minute or two, or however many I feel like, honestly, then hi. Oh my gosh, you guys. I originally wasn't going to film today, just because I'm filming the whole video in one day. But like, I don't know, like I'm just feeling pumped right now. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm in the mood. I know what I know the vibe. Let me just get it over with. And not like gonna get it over with, like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, let me just do it. But now that I'm like here, I'm like really glad. I'm like feeling like empowered AF. Because honestly, this past week has been very groggy, very transformative, and very weird. I'm sure you guys could tell from my previous videos. I don't know, like I've just been like going through like a very transitional era of my life, and I'm like adjusting to a lot of new realities. The biggest one is that I've been changing how I dress a lot, or I have been expanding my fashion, and especially in the form of like accessorization, because as you guys know, I'm like really obsessed with jewelry right now, and I've been buying so much jewelry. But there was this moment the other day where I was kind of like, dang, dude, like why am I buying so much stuff? Like why am I, like going so crazy with everything right now? Like I'm literally just like changing everything. And for a moment I was like kind of, down about it because I was beating myself up and like shaming myself. But I realized this was like, obviously a response to something that I probably dealt with as a youngin'. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, the reason I'm changing my appearance so much, or at least this is my take on it, is I feel like it's because I really am moving on from who I was, honestly, past few months ago. And to me, like, I'm very big. I'm like, I cannot handle change. Like, for someone who implements a lot of changes into their life and takes some crazy leaps of faith, I sure am terrified of change, like, it makes no sense. But, with that being said, that's why it shows that, like, when I make a change, it's like, there's a huge reason for it, like, I saw something, and there is a reason that I'm going through with it. But, I realize I've been changing the way I dress and stuff, because I simply just no longer identify it with that energetical expression, if you know what I mean. At least that's what I'm phrasing it as, so that you guys can kind of, like, make sense of it. But like for me, it's just like I'm literally shedding a skin. And it's not to say that I'm like letting go of how I used to dress. I'm still gonna dress like kind of similarly, but like I'm expanding my wardrobe and my accessories and stuff like that. Like I've been wearing gold, I've been wearing baggier clothing, and like not to say I won't not wear what I wore beforehand, but it's just like now I'm transitioning. And for a moment I realized I kind of saw in myself, I've been seeing in myself how ready I am to let go of that iteration of myself, or to at least become more comfortable with myself. and to feel like myself again, or to, get back in touch with a certain aspect of myself. And it's been very liberating because I can't believe that I'm really moving on in the like the 3D, like I'm moving on in the physical realm as opposed to just like my emotional realm and like what's going on within me. I'm actually implementing those changes to things around me and things outside of me as opposed to things within me, And yeah, and I've also been listening to a few songs. I completely forgot to write them down, so I'm just gonna like tell you the ones I've been listening to Save Your Tears by Ariana and The Weeknd. It was like a collab. And then Letting Go by Patsu again. And then The Cool Kids by Echo Smith. And then there was one other song. Anyways, I feel like I've really been healing my inner child in kind of an indirect way, especially with The Cool Kids, because that song, I remember when I was a youngin', I'm like 20. When I was younger, my brother's now ex-girlfriend used to, it was that song and What You Know by Two Door Cinema Club. And I remember she used to play those songs when we used to go to Sonic together, or like to get cream slushies, or when she'd like, like babysit and I'd like come along. And it was just like, as somebody, like one of my inner child wounds is like not being included in things. So I really cling on to moments in my life where people make me feel included, or when people genuinely want me around. And I feel like sometimes I can become very codependent with it, to where I want people to feel like they need me, and I feel like I kind of like manipulate them into needing me at times. But like obviously I've gotten better about that and realizing it. It sounds bad, but like honestly, like it's just what's happened. And another thing is like, this is like a very niche, like this is very like specific, but yesterday I was out with friends and I was driving, and I realized in that moment what a control freak I am. I also have abandonment issues. Like I'm horrified of being abandoned. Like when I was little, like my parents used to forget me everywhere. And so like, and they were always working, and not shame on them or anything. Like I understand, but like that's not to say that like it didn't affect me. And I realized that I freaking hate driving. I do not like drive. I would much rather not be the driver. But the control that comes in driving and knowing that if somebody leaves me or somebody, like walks away while I'm hanging out with them, then, I have a means of getting out of there. I'm not stranded. I'm not, alone or any of that. And it's something I've been working on. And I say all these things in the sense that I am in the midst of working on it, recognizing and stuff. I don't want it to like sound like a therapy session where I'm like, oh, like tell me how to heal this, because like I feel like I have a very specific way of going about it. But I've just like, I feel like this goes all back to the fact that if you've been keeping up with my rambles, and that I'm trying to define my emotional needs more, and by doing so, I feel like I also have to heal my inner child, which honestly I just like felt like doing anyways, because it's like, oh my gosh, like come on now. But yeah, I don't know, those songs that I mentioned, I feel Save Your Tears is a more recent song. The Cool Kids I've been listening to for a while now, and Letting Go, as you guys know, in other videos I have mentioned that song. But it's just, I think my last thing I'm going to say in this ramble, and by the way, if you guys like listening to my rambles, I have a whole other channel dedicated to them. It's called Hi Judson. It's linked in the description box, just for those who really like them, But I feel like all these songs really do mark an important emotion in me that I really need right now to kind of understand myself more. I feel like it's like, I don't know how to describe it, like the emotions are like synthetic, or like I'm like directly stimulating them, you know what I mean? I don't know, I'm like manipulating what I feel. I don't know how to describe it. Like I don't want it to sound like I'm manipulating myself, but like, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of like getting a hang of how I deal with my emotions. So yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. See you at your reading. That's all. Bye. Oh my gosh. Hello, pile 1. If you chose the Way of the Panda Tarot, this is going to be your reading for what do people admire about you. Now, before we get into the reading, I do have some oracle cards today. So we're going to use the Divine Muses. But I'm really excited to use this deck because I'm going to use the guidebook again. And I loved the last time I used it, the context and the details it provided within the reading, especially when I pulled out the guidebook. And I feel good about using the guidebook just because it's a thick book, as you guys know. And because of that, I feel like I'm really doing the creator justice because they clearly put a lot of work into it. Alright. What do people admire about pile 1? What do people admire about pile 1? Oh, was not expecting a card to fly out like that, actually. Okay, we have totality and infinity. And then I'm actually going to pull the other oracle cards. It's just this deck because I just want to get the keywords now just because, I don't know. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I don't really like when the keywords get pulled out afterwards. I feel like they should get pulled out before. I don't know. I've just been in a very finicky mood today. Alright. What do people admire about pile 1? What do people admire? Oh, okay. These two cards wanted to come out. We will take them. We have urn and we have mirror. I think it's very interesting that we have a lot of themes of endings here, so I get heavy Scorpio vibes. Honestly, if you are a Scorpio, please tell me because I don't know about you guys, but I've just been so drawn to this deck lately. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I was thinking about it last night. I was like, I know I'm using that deck in tomorrow's video. I just know it. But anyways, let me get into this guidebook because I actually don't know where it is, actually. I don't know. It's like hidden. Oh, here it is. Okay, totality and infinity. It says cycles, rebirth, eternity. The essence, it says, okay, I'm just going to read the first one. The appearance of totality and infinity is a sign that transformation is occurring in some aspect of your life. It is affirming that you're peeling back the layers of the great mystery and approaching life in a more evolved and new way. When this oracle has been pulled, something is ending and another thing is beginning. The regenerative nature of the universe is infinite. The time is ripe to free yourself from the habits of an old paradigm. Honestly, I get like major Pluto and like Scorpio vibes, like girl. Like it makes me think of Death card, like it's giving Scorpio. But aside from, you know, like the 1 million time that I've mentioned that, I just feel like one thing that people really admire about you is that you guys really just have this power to overcome the craziest things in your life, you know? I just feel like if you've dealt with literal grief, if you have dealt with, you know, losses in your life, it doesn't matter what kind of losses they are because when you write them down, like you really do see that they are major shifts and they are major changes. And I'm feeling like a lot of people, they're just like, I could never do what they do. You know, they really look to you and they really understand. Well, they don't understand, but they understand that you are a strong person and that you are not somebody to be trifled with. And I just feel like with the mirror card, it really goes to show that like you guys hold yourself to an immense standard. Oh, we also have 2 Cancer cards here. So you could be a Cancer. But I just feel like Capricorn is also relevant just because, you know, those are sister signs. So in that context, Taurus could be significant too since we have Scorpio. But I feel like there's this sense of like you're not afraid to really dive deep with yourself and to really talk to yourself, you know, and heal at a very deep level, you know. And I feel like the way that you guys have really overcome the craziest things in your life is just one of the many reasons that people truly admire you. And you know, I get this feeling of grief, you know, because whether or not you've experienced actual grief, I just feel like it's one of those things where until you experience it, you have no idea what it's like. Nothing in this world could truly compare to grief. And I have my bestest friend in the whole world. I'm kind of feeling like she might watch this pile, so if you aren't, like, hey, girl, hey. But she told me one day, like, there's this quote that she kind of lives or like kind of preached while she was dealing with grief. She was like, I don't know who said it, but this person said, you don't ever get over grief, you just make room for it, you know? And I'm like envisioning like how you're able to kind of appreciate different iterations of yourself. And I just feel like you guys are always improving yourselves, and you guys are always striving to better yourselves and take yourself to the next level, you know? And to really do something with your identity and to really leave something behind for this world, you know? And also I feel like this card is kind of like a low-key card. I feel like these oracle cards all really are talking about the same things. But I love the mirror card being here because it shows that you guys have like this solid confidence, you know? Whether or not you see yourself as confident, there are parts of yourself that you are 100% certain about. There are parts of yourself that you embrace and you know are good. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like when you have a clear perception on something and you have the logic and you have the feelings, it's just you are not somebody that can be easily persuaded, you know? I feel like when you guys have your mindset, you can be a little bit stubborn, and I'm sensing that this is another thing that people can admire you for, because you seemingly kind of radiate this go-getter energy, or that you actually initiate things whenever you're feeling up to it, you know? I just feel like you're able to do things that a lot of other people wouldn't be able to do, in the sense that, like, you know, like taking that leap of faith, or, you know, just really dealing with the craziest things and coping in an appropriate manner, you know? I feel like you guys, obviously you guys have gone through a lot, and I'm feeling like you guys have dealt with a lot of crazy things in your life, but that's just a testimony to like why people admire you so much. And I'm feeling like this message should come off a little bit like, I'm feeling it could be a little bit backhanded in a way, in the sense that like, I'm not saying that people admire you for your pain, or nor that I'm saying that, you know, like your pain is you, or it's the only laudable thing about you. But more so, it's not like that. It's just that people admire the fact that despite the fact that these things that weren't your fault happened to you, you still stepped up to the occasion, and you still dealt with it, and you still overcame it. You really have this mentality of, if I'm not going to do it, nobody else is going to, you know? Like, I just feel like you guys really carried this kind of mentality of just get it over with, just do it, you know? There's no reason to wait on it. There's no reason to, you know what I mean? You just don't find any use in being unproductive or looking at things with rose-colored glasses, you know? And not to say that you have like a bitter mindset. And maybe if you guys do, people are still impressed by the fact that you could be a lot more bitter than you are, honestly, pile one. And obviously, I'm not like, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the messages here, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Because I'm just feeling like you guys really do like it at face value, and you guys just like pure honesty. And I'm feeling like you guys are the type of people who would rather face the ugly truth than a beautiful lie. Another reason that people really admire you, honestly. Because there's a lot of people that are very close to you that admire you, because you're always telling the truth and you're always being very honest and very blunt, but not like in a rude way, you know? And I'm feeling like for those that don't know you, you come off as rude, but it's just like, you don't even mean to be like that, you know? It's just, I feel like you're the kind of person that's like, oh my gosh, everyone's just like, they think that being honest is being all rude now, like get over yourselves, you know? And I'm feeling like a lot of people really admire that, because they can also like tell you the craziest things that have happened to them, and you simply won't judge them, you know? Because once again, like if they're telling the truth, you're not going to judge them for it, you know? And I just feel like you guys really appreciate transparency and bluntness, even if it hurts feelings and even if it stirs controversy, simply because I just feel like you guys have dealt with a lot of lies in this whole turbulence that I've been talking about, that you have probably dealt with. And I'm feeling like it's just one of those reasons that has really like formed you into this very intellectual and very admirable, very laudable person. Somebody is of importance in this world. Whether or not you see it, I do think that you serve a great purpose here. And I'm feeling like you guys are comfortable with taking up space in the ways that you feel comfortable with, which not a lot of people are comfortable with taking space up at all. So another reason that people admire you. And when I say admire you, I'm feeling like this could be a double-edged sword, because I feel like sometimes people can be very envious of you too, or very jealous of you, but just know that it's kind of for the same reason, and it really all depends on the perspective. I'm sure you know that, but, you know, I just wanted to throw that out there. Anyways, let's get into the reading or the tarot. Whew. I think it's so, like, I don't know if you guys will find humor in this, but I think it's so funny how you guys chose, like, this super cutesy, like, panda deck, but, like, you guys have, like, probably gone through, like, hell and back. I don't know. It reminds me of this old manager I had at my old job. She was, like, super cutesy and, like, super, like, every time she, like, wrote the break sheets, she would, like, write hearts next to everyone's name and stuff, but, like, I could also tell that she's somebody who's gone through a lot of things because she was a Scorpio, too, and girl. No Scorpio can just say, oh yeah, I've had it easy, you know, like, no, girl, we've gone through it. I don't know, I just thought it was, like, funny, and I feel like I'm kind of the same way. I remember one day I told her I was a Scorpio, and she was like, you're too happy to be a Scorpio, and I was like, are you okay? Like, what do you mean? Anyways, what do people admire about pile 1? What do people admire about pile 1? Okay, I'm going to pull the cards a little bit slower this time just because I want to pace the reading better. Okay, we have the Two of Wands. And we have the Seven of Pentacles so far. And then on the bottom of the deck, we have the Five of Swords. I'm feeling like the Five of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles together here is very interesting. And with the Two of Wands, this kind of gives me the vibe as like, you guys have made some really tough decisions in your life. And you guys have made some crazy sacrifices in the name of something that you love or something that you stand by. I just feel like you have like this unwavering loyalty about you in the sense of like, you really will stick it to the end. And I'm feeling like maybe this has been taken advantage of before in the sense that maybe people have gotten too comfortable with you constantly being there. Like obviously with all that I've said, it makes you comes off as like this ice cold person. And whether or not that resonates, it's just the fact that like, once people get to know you, I'm feeling like you guys are the sweetest, most compassionate people in the world. And maybe the way you show love is a little bit different than what people would expect or what anyone would expect. You know, just because I feel like your love language is a lot more different and it's a lot more self-sacrificing in ways that people wouldn't expect, you know. I'm feeling like it's just something that only you understand, you know. But, you know, aside from that, what I'm trying to say here is that because you are such a compassionate and loyal person, obviously anyone that is compassionate and loyal knows to a degree what it's like to be taken advantage of. And I'm feeling like you guys know. And because of that, I feel like you guys have become very strict with your boundaries. And you guys have become a lot bigger on enforcing those whenever people try to take advantage of you or when you're put into a situation that is clearly designed to exploit you. So with that being said, I just feel like people really admire the fact that you have a spine and that you can really stand up for yourself, you know, especially because I just feel like a lot of people that you may surround yourself with also may struggle with the same issues, you know. I'm just feeling like you guys saw some things. There was something in your lifetime that you have seen that really depicted your greatest fear. There was some, like, you know what I mean? And I just feel like your greatest fear is very different from what other people are afraid of. And the reason I'm kind of saying this, you know, like, I feel like I'm being very confusing with this reading. But, like, what I'm trying to say is that I just feel like your values, your morals, and your love language, anything about you is so different from other people. And I wouldn't be surprised if that just, like, doubles the admirers. What even is that word? What is English? And I just feel like that doubles how many of those you have and how many people look at you and how many people really, like, you know, keep their eye on you, whether or not you realize it, because you're somebody who understands that they have specific needs, and instead of kind of conforming to mainstream forms of love language, you know, like buying stuff or any of that sort, or like, you know, just like, I feel like you don't 100% conform to the societal standards in terms of how a person should behave in so many different ways, you know. And I'm feeling like, I feel like it's better to keep that vague just because obviously there are so many people watching this pile. It's better to keep it more open-ended so that you guys can apply it in the way that you deem as fit. But I will say that people just like really admire you for it, you know, because like you have like you're very saturated with personality and, you know, like all of these things. I don't know how to describe it. Like, personality is really just the best way to describe it, because I feel like that just kind of like sums up everything that I'm trying to say, or kind of sums up all these qualities about you that people really appreciate, you know? And with the Seven of Pentacles here, I'm feeling like you guys are also very dedicated. And I think that that is the reason why the Five of Swords is just so convenient here, because it really goes to show that once you are committed to something, once you have your eye on something, like, you are not going to stop, you know? You aren't going to just leave behind something. Like, you won't commit to a project, see something else more sparkly, and be like, oh, never mind, I'm just going to start this one, you know? It's like when you are building a future with someone, or when you are in a relationship, just because you see someone that is objectively hotter, like, you're not going to be like, oh, like, I'm going to leave you and be with them, you know? Because it's like, you thrive on history, you thrive on information, you thrive on context. And because of that, I just feel like, once again, that is definitely another contributing factor as to why you may have been stuck in previous situations, you know? And I'm just feeling like it's another one of those things that people admire you for, because you're one foot in front of the other kind of person that really takes commitment seriously and takes longevity very seriously, because you just hate to see things not last, you know? You guys hate to see things that are impractical, make no sense, or obsolete, or no longer serving you or other people. I just feel like you guys hate to see that, you know? I feel like you guys hate to see something in your life that is no longer should be there. And I feel like you guys are, maybe it takes you a little bit, but the fact that you at all can let it go and cut it out of your life is something that people, like, they don't know how you do it. They don't know how you're so strong, you know, especially if they don't know you. If they do know you, like, obviously, like, they know, but what I'm trying to say here is that, like, a lot of people, despite the fact that they know, it's just like they're very impressed by the fact that there really does seem to be no limits to how committed you are to the things that you care about and to yourself, you know? And maybe sometimes you change courses with the Two of Wands here, but that's simply because you see something better, or you see something that is way more worth investing in. And I just feel like people really see that about you too, and really admire that, is that you really have an eye for things, and you're able to see something through to the end before even, like, embarking on the journey, period. And I just feel like it's one of those things that people are impressed by, because I feel like it's one of those things where, like, you'll be looking at something, you'll be like, oh, like, or like, you'll be in the midst of completing something, and people will be like, I don't really know what you're doing, I don't really get it, you know? Like, it's just like, they're just like, oh, I don't get it. Like, what are you doing? Like, it looks dumb. And then as you're kind of finishing it up, or as you're progressing along, they're like, oh, I see it. You know, like, I just feel like your vision is just, you take them very seriously. And I'm feeling like when you put them together, people are very impressed. And people that have witnessed it more than once definitely admire you for it, simply because of the fact that you really can do things in kind of a slow-paced manner, and that you really will wait a very long time and take all the time in the world to see something out to the end. And it's just something that people really admire you for, because I'm feeling like there's a lot of people that have passed you by that have commitment issues, and they just don't know how you're able to do that, you know? There's probably a lot of people that wishes they could do things the way that you do, you know? Anyways, let's pull another card. We also have Page of Pentacles. Yeah, with the Page of Pentacles, I really do think that in the material world, you're somebody who is a very hard worker. You're somebody who puts in a lot of effort into just anything. I feel like you take your work very seriously. I wouldn't be surprised if you have bosses, managers, anyone that is in a higher position than you really admire you or really prefer you over other workers, you know? Like, maybe you've had a lot of people tell you, I don't trust anyone else with this, or I just would rather you do it, you know, like, you know what I mean? I just feel like that applies in so many different ways too, you know? Friends could be like, oh, I only feel comfortable telling you, or anything of that nature, you know? It doesn't necessarily have to be your bosses or managers, but I just feel like there's an emphasis on them because of the Pentacles cards, and it really shows me that, like, you're probably you're someone with good work ethic, and you're somebody who works very hard. But outside of that, there's something about you that, once again, that unwavering loyalty and ability to latch onto something and see it out through the end is just something that is unmatched, and something that people really admire you for. And a lot of people find solace with you because of that. You know, they find a lot of stability and comfort with you. And I wouldn't be surprised if you attract a lot of, like, mutable signs, or if you attract, I don't know, just something about it just shows that you attract people who need stability, or people who do best with stability, you know? I just feel like they feel really safe with you. But anyways, I'm going to pull the last 2 cards. We also have King of Cups. And we have 5 of Pentacles. I feel like the 5 of Pentacles is an interesting card here. Oh, the butterfly is very significant to me. I want to talk about that. There's also butterflies on the back of the deck. Once again, just all these like little nods to change, you know? But I'm feeling like with the King of Cups, there's something about you that's very masculine. And I know it's very annoying nowadays to kind of constantly, you know, like associate the whole go-getter energy with being masculine. But that's honestly what I'm referencing, you know. If not masculine, just the fact that you have this go-getter energy about you. And there's probably a lot of people that are also intimidated by that. If you would like to know why people are intimidated by you, reference one of my other videos. I did that topic. Shameless promo, shameless plug promo. Anyways, I'm feeling like with the 5 of Pentacles, there's also something about you that just like, you've gone through loss. You know, I just feel like that once again references what I was saying right in the beginning, in the sense that you have dealt with loss. You have dealt with crazy things in your life. And it's just the fact that like, you don't allow it to emotionally hold you back, you know? I'm feeling like when people meet you, they can definitely sense that you have old soul vibes, or that you are somebody that has gone through a lot, and maybe at times you can come off a little bit jaded. But, you know, obviously that's a very specific message. I think the whole point is that people know that you have been through things, or people know that there have, like, things have happened, you know? And so I'm just feeling like it's one of those things that people admire you for, and people admire the way that you carry yourself, and that you have a lot of wisdom, you know? But outside of that, I also feel like there's something about you. It's just when people actually find out what it is that you've gone through and the life that you have lived so far, they're still shocked, you know? There's really no, like, oh, like, you know, like, I figured so, you know? It's just, they're always surprised. People are always surprised by the things that you have gone through and the things that you have dealt with in this lifetime, simply because it's just so unfathomable, the journey that you have been on so far, regardless of your age, regardless of the actual experiences, you know? Just because how you act and how you carry yourself is so mature, and is so, like, well put together, confident, and realistic, and at the same time compassionate, sweet, unwavering, and loyal, despite the fact that the things that you have gone through is like absolutely like atrocious. It's like insane. Like, it's bonkers. Like, I don't know. That's like the best way to describe it. Like, bonkers. It's crazy. Like, and you're like sitting there like laughing, watching the video, like, girl, you ain't even know half of it. And see what I mean? That's what I'm talking about, you know? You'll just be like the sweetest, kindest person. Like, I don't know, like, you'll give your neighbors a gift basket, and little do those neighbors know that, like, at some point you were like homeless and you were like scavenging for quarters to get like a Diet Coke from the gas station, but now you're like living in like a normal people house, and you're just kind of like, you know what I mean? It's just, people will never expect the fact that for how much compassion and how much loyalty and care you show for the world, they are surprised by where you're coming from with it, you know? I feel like you're a very humbled person. You're a very humble person. You're somebody who has gone through a lot of things, like I've said. Honestly, pile one, I'm just going to sum up your reading so I can like stop repeating myself over and over. I'm just feeling like the reason, or things that people really admire about you, is your unwavering loyalty, and the fact that you're able to transform and overcome issues in your life, no matter how crazy and visceral or how volatile they are, you know? And, you know, not to say that you had a choice or anything, because let's be real here. But, you know, it's one of those things that, it's the fact that you still stepped up and gave it your all, and now you're still just like going about your life, and you're still pushing, you know? Despite the fact that maybe you get tired, maybe you get exhausted. And I'm just feeling like the admiration for you increases as people get to peel back the layers on you and get to see more of you and learn more about you, and understand that at times you may come off as harsh or abrasive, but it's just because you've gone through a lot of things, and it's just because you have dealt with some crazy things in your life, and you know that if you don't set your foot down, like, people will take advantage of your love again, and you simply can't, like, you just won't tolerate that anymore, you know? And that's just something that people really admire about you, because I think in this generation, I'm Gen Z, you know, like, we really struggle with boundaries, honestly. or at least I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for all of Gen Z, but like just for me and some other Gen Zs I've met, like we really struggle with boundaries, and I'm just feeling like it doesn't really matter the generation. Actually, I'm just feeling like, just as a general person, we really see it hard because I feel like all of us to a degree suffer from people pleasing to some degree. You know, if you don't, you don't. But what I'm trying to get at here is that people really admire the fact that you're really able to advocate for yourself and enforce your walls when you need to, you know. People really admire that because you've probably had a lot of spineless people come into your life and try to come at you sideways or control you. But respectfully, you're like, no thank you, like you can not, if you know what I mean, like you can off. And you know, like people just really admire that because, and I feel like with the admiration comes respect. People really respect and admire you. That's going to be a new reading topic one day. Why do people respect you? Anyways, so yeah, that's all I have for you, Pile 1. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the reading resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like a personal reading, I do offer those in my Etsy shop, which is linked down below in the description box below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Again, I love you. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose the Midnight City Tarot, this is going to be your reading for what do people admire about you. Now, before we get into the tarot, I do have some more oracle cards today using the Divine Muses, and I have the guidebook again here today because the last time I used this deck and pulled out the guidebook, I freaking loved the context it provided. Oh my gosh, I was really hype. I was like, girl. And also, like, I told this to Pile 1, but I also feel like I'm doing the creator justice because the guidebook is, like, really nice, as you will see, or as you have seen, and I feel like I'm, like, doing them justice because they put a lot of effort in, you know? But yeah. Alright. What do people admire about Pile 2? I also like how I'm, like, learning this deck more and getting more, like, bonded with it with you guys. I don't know. It's our deck. What do people admire about Pile 2? What do people admire about Pile 2? Okay, this one wants to come out. We have Muse of Comedy. Okay. Muse of Comedy. Sorry, I'm like trying not to laugh right now. But I don't know, you guys. I just feel like you guys are funny. Anyways, let's pull some more oracle cards before I pull out the guidebook because I don't know. I was telling this to Pile 1, but I've been kind of like finicky about it just because I like the oracle cards all being out at the same time, and then I can like pull the tarot cards like a little bit by bit. Anyways. Wow, great shuffle. This deck is so thick, you guys. It's like really thick. Like it's giving it thick with 3 C's. Okay, I can't right now. This is so embarrassing, you guys. Please, just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay, I'll tell you when I'm done. Close your eyes. Are you closing your eyes? This is so embarrassing. Okay, guys, open them. Open them. Let's try it again. Slay. Okay. Sorry, I take shuffling very seriously. What do people admire about Pile 2? What do people admire about Pile 2? Okay. Okay, 3 cards came out, so you guys get 3 cards. Anyways, we have with your card, Bodybuilder. And we have Shooting Star. And Fortress. This is the first time seeing the Fortress card. This deck is so huge that like I literally sometimes see some of these cards for the first time. Alright. Now let's get out this guidebook and see what the vibe is. See what I mean? Like it's like a little book. Like this could have been published. Muse of Comedy. There it goes. Okay. Muse of Comedy. Comic relief, humor, fun. It says, if the muse of comedy has been drawn, it may be time for some comic relief, and Thalia would be the muse to channel. Thalia means the joyous or to blossom or flourish in ancient Greek. The ancients adored this high-spirited and lively muse, who transmitted joy and fun to the masses through the medium of comedy. Comedies were as popular in their day as they are today. You guys, oh my gosh, that just made me think. Because I remember I was talking to this person about comedy, and then I read this article about comedy. But comedy is one of those things that if you look back on history, it has just constantly been a theme to make fun of society and culture and implement satire into our everyday lives and to make fun of the fact that our lives can be so crazy, you know, and our collective opinions can be so ridiculous. And if you look back, like, on the centuries that we have documented on comedy, comedy seems to always reflect, or you can kind of see in comedy what it was like at that time, you know, or what the culture at that time was. I still need to do more reading in it myself, but, you know, I just feel like it's just, I love how it's been a staple in our existence as a species to constantly make fun of ourselves and to point out our flaws as a collective. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I feel like one thing that people admire about you is, one, the fact that you're able to notice things and the fact that you're able to poke fun at things and not take things too seriously. But two, the fact that you're consistent. You know what I mean? Do you like get the vibe that I'm like trying to put down here? It's that like through it all, you're able to stay consistent and you're able to stand by things that you really advocate for, you know. There's just something about you that's like, maybe you're always changing, and maybe you're always like moving around, and maybe you're like not as consistent as people like think. But I think that as someone gets to know you, they understand that within your inconsistency, I use that term very lightly here, I don't mean it to be like rude or anything, people see like this pattern and they see, ironically, a consistency, you know. And the fact that you always come back around, you always make an appearance, you always make it a point to show up, and every single time it's to bring joy and to lighten things up, you know, and to kind of not take life so seriously, you know. And something about that is just so beautiful and definitely very admirable. You may not think it, Pyle, too. I feel like funny people don't really know that they're too funny. Even like stand-up comedians, I feel like they're just like, they don't really, I don't know, like I always get all that time that I'm like funny, and like when I'm trying to be funny, no one laughs. When I'm just like being like normal, people start laughing. I'm like, what's going on? But anyways, what I'm trying to say here is that you guys probably don't try to, but you guys are probably very funny. And I think that a lot of times you catch people laughing around you, and just know people really admire you for your sense of humor. And also, outside of that, with these cards, you know, like the keyword cards here, I'm feeling like working out could be significant here. There could be something about strength. I'm feeling like my bestie is going to watch this pile. I thought she was going to watch pile 1, but I'm feeling like she's going to watch this one. So like, hey girl. But I love saying hi to her, because every time she texts me, she'd be like, I did not, like, how do you always, like, I can't believe you know what pile I picked. But what I'm trying to say here, anyways, done with that. So I'm just feeling like something about the bodybuilder, the shooting star card together, along with the fortress, like just all these cards together really gives me this vibe that, like I said, within your inconsistency lies in a consistency, you know? And I know that sounds kind of like weird, or like, you know, like maybe it can come off wrong, but I just want to say I do say it with a good heart, in the sense that like you're unpredictable, you're fun, you're exciting, and you're hilarious. But at the same time, it's just, you're always going to be there. You're always going to show up in the ways that count, and you never back down for those that you care about, you know, or anything that you do care about, or the things that you stand by. With the shooting star being here, I'm feeling like you guys probably wish for things very often, or there are a lot of things that you would like to happen in your life. And I'm feeling like once you're really set on something, there is no stopping you. You know, we have Capricorn, we have Aries, we have Aquarius here, and those could be all relevant placements here. Especially Capricorn, just because of that go-getter energy. But also, you guys, I feel like Capricorns have an amazing sense of humor. My brother's a Capricorn moon, and he's so funny. I love Capricorns. If you're a Capricorn, I love you. Tell me your best joke in the comments. I will laugh. Literally. Like, not even joking. Anyways, I feel like this reading has half been me talking to you, half doing the actual reading. I hope you don't mind. Anyways. With the bodybuilder card, I just feel like, I don't know, like, I'm feeling like I'm going in circles here, but like what I'm trying to say is that despite the fact that you're probably somebody who comes off as very aloof or very like witty, and maybe people wouldn't expect you to be the way that you are when it comes to your goals and your aspirations, but they're very surprised because like you come off as like this very humorous, very non-committal person, or somebody who just likes having fun, you know, doesn't really care for working and stuff like that. But as people get to know you, like they can definitely sense that you're a serious individual and that you're somebody who takes the things that they care about, the people they care about, and just all of your dreams very seriously. And I'm feeling like once those things are put on the platter or like put on the table for you, and it's one of those things that you're like, okay, yeah, I want to see this through the end, you have this amazing patience. I feel like you're able to tap into this reservoir within you, and suddenly like you can just wait a million years for something. Suddenly you can see things out to the very end, you know. And maybe at times you'll walk away, or maybe at times, you know, you'll get distracted. But the point is that you will always get back to it and you will always see it through, you know? And I'm just feeling like people really admire you for that, because it's like they don't really. It's interesting how you're able to remember things and that your memory is actually pretty good, you know? Despite the fact that you come off as somebody who forgets things within like 3 seconds, I think that you really remember things when it counts. Oh my god, my friend and I, we were joking about... Let me get into the tarot. Let me start shuffling them so I can tell you the story at the same time and kill two birds with one stone. But I was talking to my friend one day, and she was like, how did you... Like, I remember the sign of the guy that she was talking to. She was like, how did you remember that? And I was like, you told me. And she was like, oh, I forgot that I told you. And you know, like, I just feel like that's like a theme with like a lot of my friends, is that like they always forget things, or like they'll like constantly be forgetting things, and like I have like a steel trap memory, you know? I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like that's my dynamic. But I feel like sometimes I can also be the friend that literally forgets everything. I don't know. But I just feel like most of the time I'm always remembering things. So what do people admire about pile 2? What do people admire about pile 2? What do people admire about pile 2? I'm feeling like you guys don't mind the rambling, because I feel like maybe you guys also need to be constantly stimulated. I don't know. I think you guys can keep up with me. I sense like Gemini energy here too. Anyways, we have the 2 of Swords. Speaking of Gemini energy, we have the Tower. And then on the bottom of the deck so far, we have 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups is an interesting energy here, because I feel like with the 2 of Swords and 7 of Cups, maybe you're a very indecisive person. But I think that with the Tower card, when you come to a decision, like you go all the way with it. I'm feeling like you guys have a hard time making a decision, or maybe at times you sit there balancing things for a while, you know? Or, you know, you guys really take stock. I'm feeling like this earth sign energy. I feel like earth signs always do this. Like, they will balance everything out. They kind of like Libra, you know, it's kind of like Libra vibes, but I feel like as an earth moon myself with a Libra Mars, I'm always balancing things, and I'm always kind of like seeing what the vibe is. But once I make a decision, it's like, you know what I mean? I feel like you guys are the same way. I feel like you guys will gather as much information as possible before making a decision. Wow. But I'm feeling like when you see that decision out to the end, it is out to the end. Like, I'm feeling like with the Tower card, like the changes that you'll implement into your life and the way that you will uproot something completely when you have made your mind up is wild, you know? It makes me think of like someone who's like, I'm feeling like this is so your guys' vibe. Like, tell me if you guys do this, but like, you know, like when you're just like in your room and you're like envisioning how like you'll rearrange it, you know? And then like one day you suddenly are just like, you know what? It's time. It's time to rearrange it. I know how it's going to look. And then suddenly you just get out of your bed, like you turn off your phone and you just like start rearranging your room and you just like get through with it. I'm feeling like that is so your guys' vibe, you know? In the sense that you guys will really think about something and ponder about it heavily. So much so to a point that maybe you'll stress yourself out because you're taking too much time. And I'm feeling like you'll be late to something, or you'll get late to something in the name of making the most absolutely correct decision that will make you feel good. And because of that, that's just something people really admire about you. People really admire the fact that you take your time with your decision making, and that you make it a point to be patient about seeing things out, because you simply know that it's worth investing and it's worth spending a little bit of extra time or whatever else it may be to really get the results that you are looking for. And people admire you for that big time, because there's a lot of people that can probably be very jealous and envious of what you have going on, because you simply took that extra time to implement the correct changes and, you know, make the right investments. And there's a lot of times that you may not realize it, but people really envied you because of it. And by the way, if you would like to know why people envy you, I do have a video topic on that. So shameless self plug. I said promo earlier in pile 1. I was like, promo, girl. This ain't not promo. Anyways, what I'm trying to say here is that, like, there are a lot of times where people are jealous of you. And I'm feeling like, depending on... I told this to pile 1. I think that depending on who it is, people would admire you or be jealous of you for the exact same thing, you know? I'm just feeling like it depends on the perspective, you know? But the same reason that people are jealous of you and very... like, they admire you is because, like I said, like, you have this... I almost said thing, like, wow, like, that's so specific. But, you know, like, you have this vibe about you and this energy about you and this way of doing things to where, like I said, like, you'll take an extra time. But the way that you will be able to implement the Tower card into your life, and that there will be a moment where you will be just kind of, like, stuck on something for a really long time. But I'm feeling like the way you make decisions is completely out of nowhere. Anyways, let's pull one more card to see what the vibe is. We also have Ace of Swords. Oh my gosh, yes. I think that Ace of Swords is the best card right here, because once again, it just shows that once you guys have an idea, like, the way you're able to go through with it is absolutely unmatched. I feel like the Ace of Swords also shows that people really admire that you have really good ideas and opinions. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people come to you for their, like, for your opinion, like, oh, like, what do you think of this outfit? Or, like, oh, what do you think of this being here? Or, oh, what do you think of this person? What do you think of this, you know? Because, once again, people know that, you know, you have an indecisiveness about you, or that people know that, like, you have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge and a lot of opinions, you know? You're a very opinionated person, I'm feeling. And I'm feeling like people really come to you for advice because they really admire your perspective on things. And I think that you're the kind of friend, or you're the kind of person that has set a lot of people straight in their life, simply because, you know, like, you aren't afraid to speak the truth and you aren't afraid to make fun of somebody, you know? I'm feeling like with the Muse of Comedy, like, you'll make fun, or, like, you'll do it in a very humorous way. I'm feeling like you guys aren't really mean, you know? I don't think that you guys are mean at all, even though you may say the craziest, most, like, if someone else said it, it would, in fact, be very mean. But when you say it, it's like, it's with good heart and it's with honesty, you know? And I'm feeling like a lot of people really admire that about you. The fact that you're able to say the blunt truth, and the way you're able to sugarcoat things in a way that's, like, not sugarcoating, you know? Like, you're just able to say something and be honest without being, like, rude, you know? There's a lot of times where people are just, like, they think that being honest is the same as being rude, or, like, vice versa, you know? And it's just, like, you make it a point to not surround yourself with people like that, first of all. But also, those people that do get to be around you really admire you. You might hear fireworks. And they really appreciate that about you because, you know, like, you give your honest opinion. And I'm feeling like a lot of people feel very comfortable and validated in your presence, because I feel like you're also very good at helping people, you know? I'm feeling like you aren't the type of person that's just constantly poking fun, or, you know, always, you know, like, always making fun of things, and always like, oh, like, this is what's wrong. I'm feeling like you guys are also able to kind of pick out how to fix it, you know? You guys are very productive people, and you guys are somebody that is able to criticize things but also present ways to present solutions, you know? And because of that, a lot of people admire you, know? They think that you're very smart for it. You're very sophisticated, and you're very intelligent when it comes to your decisions and your opinions, because you know how to word them in a way that's very charming, very likable, but at the same time, very honest and very transparent, you know? And I'm feeling like that's just, like, it's just really hard to come by that nowadays, pile to it. And because of that, I think that you're a huge gem when people come across you. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people, if they have lost you as a person in their life, regardless of whether it be a friend, a lover, a family member, it doesn't matter. Those people significantly get worse because they just don't have your high expectations around anymore, or they don't have your refined taste around anymore, you know? So I'm feeling like there's a lot of people in your life that used to be like, hey, like, can you tell me oh, how does this look, and stuff like that. And, they're no longer a part of your life, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm, like, ugly now because, like, I don't have pile two's vibe around me, and I don't have their opinion anymore, and all my friends lie to me, as opposed to pile two who was honest to me, And it's just, I also think that maybe you have dealt with people not taking your opinions or not taking your advice into consideration. It's probably very frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. But I just think that the general message here and in the Ace of Swords, along with the other cards that I've pulled so far, is really that you're somebody who is very intelligent and you have a hawk's eye. Pile two, it's the way literally nothing can escape your gaze. People probably try to be sneaky with you and you probably let it slide just because, like, you're like, whatever, like, they're trying super hard, like, let me not cause drama. But people really think they ate, people really think that they got away with something when you just choose not to acknowledge it. And then maybe one day you're like, oh, remember when you did this? And they're like really embarrassed and like turn red and stuff. And they're like, oh, like, I didn't think you would have noticed, And you're like, what do you mean? Like, you were doing it, like, I don't know, like, someone was stealing your string cheese out of the refrigerator and you could literally hear the bag crinkling from the other room, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're stealing my string cheese. And then you're like, hey, like, can you buy me some more string cheese because you ate all mine? And they're like, oh, how did you know? And you're like, I could literally hear you opening the fridge and crinkling the bag. Like, please, I'm not. And I could hear that little when you pull them apart. I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is, like, you have a hawk's eye and nothing misses your gaze. Nothing can escape your attention. And because of that, I feel like that's another reason people really admire you. And maybe at times you have really been of hand because of that. Like, hey, I noticed that you were, like, not talking as much today. Or, hey, like, I noticed that you got a grande instead of a venti today. Like, what's going on, You know what I mean? It's just like, you notice all the little things and you notice all the little details. And because of that, you're able to implement those visions into your life, in the sense that the little things do matter, and because of that you pay attention to the little details in your life, and you probably live a very luxe life because of it. And whether you see it or not, people really do admire the way that you live, simply because you live more refined, you live a little bit more carefully, and because of that your life is just so much more detail oriented, and it's just, you don't miss anything in your life. And people really admire that about you. And people also admire that about you in the sense that you're able to admire others for the little details, the little things. People are like, oh, I didn't think you would have noticed, or I didn't think that you saw. And you're like, no, I saw. Like, it's just, people, if you see someone that has gotten a haircut, the first thing you're saying, oh my gosh, did you get a haircut? And people love that about you. People love the way that you're able to give attention and the fact that you're able to notice things. People love that you care. We also have the Emperor, and then we finally have the Five of Cups. Interesting. I'm feeling like you could have watched pile 1 too, because pile 1, the last card that I pulled for them was the Five of Pentacles. I feel like with the Emperor card, with the Ace of Swords, really shows that you have taken control in some aspect in your life. And I think that being so detail oriented really shows that you're the kind of person that may be like, okay, nobody else is going to do it as well as I can, so let me just do it myself, And I'm feeling like you have done a lot of things in your life to kind of, like, take action yourself. I don't know, like, it makes me think of a lot of things, like, oh, nobody makes the calendars the way that I like them, like, no one makes the hang-up calendars anymore. Not true, like, they still exist. What I'm trying to say, like, someone does something and it's just like nothing's a vibe for you or nothing's correct for you, and so you're like, oh, let me just do it myself. You're like, oh, no one can cut my hair right, so let me just cut it myself. Or, oh, no one can do my makeup right, let me just do it myself. And people really admire that about you, because you really can learn anything. Like, you're a very smart person, and you're somebody who is capable of learning the craziest things and in a pretty short amount of time. Like, you're just very good at soaking up information. And I'm feeling like with the Five of Cups, when you're disappointed, or I just feel like there have been a lot of scenarios in which you have been let down, and once again, this kind of energy of, okay, like, better to just step up and kind of do it myself, get it over with. There's something that I want, and I will see it out to the end, no matter what, with this shooting star and the bodybuilder, It's just, you understand that nobody can carry the vision that you have, or that nobody can execute it as well as you can, simply because you know that nobody has the same detail-oriented standards as you do. And because of that, you make it a point to kind of, you know, uplift yourself and do things the way that you want to do it and get things done and see it out to the end in the ways that you would have wanted to. And with the music comedy, I think that it's interesting because I feel like you're also able to make fun of things that nobody else would have noticed. And it's just like, it once again goes back to the fact that it really enriches your humor and that you're a really funny person to be around. You're just like a joy to be around, honestly. I feel like you're a life of the party vibes, and I'm feeling like a lot of people look up to you. I'm feeling like a lot of people are gravitated towards you, or people very excited to have you around. Honestly, Pile 2, I'm going to sum up your reading. I'm feeling like just a lot of what composes why people admire you is that you're just somebody who lives very seriously. You take living life very seriously, and you are very committed to living the life that you really want to live. And I'm just feeling like you guys are very detail oriented. You guys are funny, first of all. People really admire you for that. You're hilarious. Like, did I tell you you're hilarious? And also, it's just the whole detail-oriented thing. People really admire the fact that you'll get frustrated with something, or you'll get frustrated with something that's going on out there, and instead of like getting mad about it and complaining, and just like, you really do carve your own path, and you really decide to go about it your own way, you know? Like, I don't know, like, you've been buying this yogurt for years from the grocery store, and you're like, girl, like, this yogurt is no longer a vibe, like, they changed something, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna go get a cow and start making my own yogurt, you know? And it's just like, that sounds crazy, but it really would be something that you would do if you were feeling up to it, you know? If you were really committed to this yogurt, you know, I feel like you are the type of person that would see it out to the end like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just that really does show the extremes that you're willing to go to live the way that you want to and to see things the way that you want to see them. And people just really admire you because you're willing to implement some pretty crazy changes into your life to see things turn out the way that you want them to, you know? And I just feel like that is the number one reason why people admire you. It's just like, you can be very indecisive, you can be very stuck on things, but once you have made your mind up, you really will commit to it and you really will see it out to the very end. So yeah, that's all I have for you, Pile 2. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the reading resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, no, wait. And if you'd like a personal reading, I do offer this in my Etsy shop, which is linked down below in the description box. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Again, I love you. Bye. Hello, Pile 3. If you chose the Moon Void Tarot, this is going to be your reading for what do people admire about you. As you can see, oh, by the way, we're going to get into the Oracle cards, but as you can see, the lighting has changed because I waited a little bit too long. I got really addicted to my phone after Pile 2 and I was like watching TikToks. But now we're here. Anyways, I'm going to use the Divine Muses Oracle, and I've been pulling out the guidebook because I told this to Pile 1 and 2, but I love the context that the guidebook was providing in the last time I used this deck along with the guidebook. And I also, you know, I just feel like I'm doing the creator justice because they put a lot of effort into the guidebook. So yeah. What do people admire about Pile 3? What do people admire about Pile 3? What do people admire about Pile 3? Oh gosh. Okay. We have the Spirits of Earth. And then I'm going to pull some more Oracle cards and then we will get into the guidebook. That's just how I've been doing it. Anyways. Hopefully I can shuffle this deck correctly. Oh my gosh, in Pile 2, it was a disaster. I know they're gonna like talk about it in the comments, but I'm like, oh my gosh, please guys. But it was like really funny. I was like telling them to like close their eyes and stuff. I just felt like a little bit crazy. Alright. What do people admire about Pile 3? What do people admire about Pile 3? People admire about Pile 3. Do people admire about Pile 3? Okay. Oh, okay. You guys got 3 cards as well, I guess. Oh my gosh, I'm like dropping all the cards everywhere. Please stop. Disaster. Anyways, before I was rudely interrupted, we have Person of Water. And then we have bonfire, and unchanged. Okay. Now we can get into the guidebook before more chaos ensues. I think I'm also going to turn on the lamp. Hold on. Okay, that's good. Spirits of Earth. I'm looking for it. Hold on. Oh my god, where is it? I'm not sure if it's in this part. Okay, it's right here. Sorry, pile through. Oh my gosh. Okay, Spirits of Earth. Elemental and guardian of Earth, the gnome. This oracle card shows patience, stability, and reliability. It is an expression of the elemental spirit of Earth. We see it in the solidness of a mountain and the gravity of the earth. It's the roots of a tree that descend into the soil and the time it takes for its branches to grow. In Western mystical and magical traditions, Earth is linked with the cardinal direction north and the color green. Its corresponding season is winter and the time of day is nighttime, representing dormancy, passiveness, and rest. The earth element shows a slow, steady, and grounded energy, and anything that can be shaped, built, and materialized from our creative ideas. This is the realm of the body and the physical world. I've just been reading the first paragraph, but I love that it mentioned the seasons as well and the time of day. I'm just feeling like that really does kind of provide context to what kind of person you are and why people would admire you, because I just feel like there's something about you. There's a serenity about you, or kind of this peace about you, Something about you is very magical and very, otherworldly, You probably have very beautiful eyes, or the way that you are able to express yourself is very beautiful, I feel like you guys could have a Pisces rising, or you could have a Taurus rising, maybe even a Libra rising, just something with Venus or a Neptune. And we also have Sagittarius here, and we do have all the water signs here, so Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces again. But, I just feel like there's something about you that is very beautiful, and I'm feeling like you guys are able to really turn emotions into something a little bit more tangible and digestible, especially for the collective. You could write, you could draw, you could sketch, or there's a lot of ties of you in art, self-expression, and hobbies, and people really admire you for it because you may not see it, maybe you do, but you do have talent, and you're very talented, and you're very, serene. I don't know, okay, so when I was reading the entry for the description for this just now, I kept thinking about, if you've played Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, this is a very specific message, but if you go to different parts in the map and you enter it, it shows a little image and the music starts playing, and there's this forest called Ilex Forest, or I don't know what it was called, Ilex Forest something. It's after Azalea Town, and when you enter it, it's just you see Oddish in the little picture or the painting, and the music starts playing, and it's just so beautiful, It literally makes me think of the night sky, I feel like you could deal with a lot of people that have a staring problem, or people that just have just an issue with looking at you, and you probably get really annoyed, or you're probably very scared. I don't know. It could be anything, but I'm, as somebody who if people were to stare at me, I would either get very annoyed or very scared. There's no in between. But anyways, I'm feeling with the Person of Water and the Bonfire card too. These two cards together really show me that you're a very sentimental person, and you're definitely very sentient, and you're somebody who you're probably very ruled by your emotions, or at least your emotions and your intuition play a huge part in the way you make decisions in your life, and the way that you express yourself, the way you go about things, And I'm just feeling people really admire that about you, because you're really able to put words into feelings, or put feelings to words, and put anything into words that a lot of people can't, And I just feel a lot of people admire you for that, because you're able to kind of turn the intangible into something tangible, Something that is digestible, especially for more detached individuals. But at the same time, with the bonfire card, there's just something about you that shows this adventure and enthusiasm and excitement, you know? Something about you just shows like an innocence, you know? And obviously take that however you want, but basically what I'm trying to say here is that nothing about your emotionality and how you approach your feelings ever seems to change with this unchanged card here. And it just really shows me that, like, with the spirits of the earth, like, you're a very loyal person and you're somebody who is very stable and you're somebody who is very level-headed and you're able to kind of allow your emotions and your logic to kind of coincide or kind of mix. You know, it makes me think that there's a lot of people out there, you know, that can't mix their emotions with their logic, you know, and they're very detached, and it's as if though they're making their logic to kind of please their feelings or appease their feelings, you know. But for you, I feel like your feelings come first and then you kind of make sense of them. But I feel like with a lot of people, they make sense of things, and depending on their feelings, they change, you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say here is that, like, the way you're able to make decisions and the way you're able to uncover truths and, you know, just allow your emotions to kind of pave a path, or your intuition, is phenomenal. It's really something that people notice about you and something that people really admire about you, and something that a lot of people maybe even envy, because you're able to, once again, you know, just like put words to feelings and, you know, make sense of things. Even more ironic that we're talking about nighttime and I had to turn the lamp on for you, you know. I have to have it on for pile 4 as well, but you know. I'm just feeling like there's something about you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the best way to put it. There's something about you. There's something so amazing about you, and there's something so, like, appreciable about you. That's not a word, but, like, you know, laudable, you know, very lovable about you, you know? And also, with the spirits of the earth, you could literally be very involved with earth. So you could have plants, you could have like a very interesting color palette. I'm feeling like jewel tones are very relevant here. I'm feeling like you guys just like, you guys probably dress very well and you guys are probably very eclectic by nature, regardless of what it may be. I just think that in anything that you do, you have a lot of different sources and inspirations for it. And because of that, it really seems as if though you're really able to draw inspiration from seemingly nowhere, because your feelings are so strong, and the way you're able to, you know, draw energy and draw, you know, like inspiration, like I said, is just truly something beautiful. And you chose the Moon Void Tarot, you know? There's just a lot of synchronicities and a lot of coincidences in this reading, if you know what I mean. And once again, I'm just feeling like a lot of people feel like when they meet you, they were really meant to meet you. Definitely another thing that they admire about you, because they feel very confident in your union and, you know, like your place in their life. And also with the bonfire card, like, once again, like, I just feel like you're also a very exciting person to be around, and you're very fun, because obviously with emotionality comes your own set of needs and inspirations, everything, you know? And because of that, I just feel like you bring something to the table that nobody else can bring, simply because it is exclusive and bespoke to you. And that's definitely another reason why people admire you, is because your take on things is so beautiful, and something so like the word that keeps coming to mind is like extraterrestrial. Like, I'm literally thinking of, like, you know, like that giant cave of crystals from, like, in Mexico or something. Or, you know, it makes me think of crystals. It makes me think of walking into a crystal shop. It makes me think of walking into the garden center at night. It makes me think of, you know, like trees. It makes me think of sunsets. Like, you're just a very beautiful person. Quite probably physically beautiful too. Like, you're probably very gorgeous. And on top of that, it's just like your personality is just way, like, it gets even better, you know. It's like one of those things where, like, people get to know you, like, you get even better, you know. There's just something about you that's like very surreal and very, like, it makes me think of like Telepathia by Kali Uchis, or Moonlight, I don't know. Very magical. Okay, let me get into the tarot here. Haven't used this deck in a while. I'm very excited. Yeah, I don't know, pile 3. I feel like I sound really corny and very broad, maybe even a little bit vague, just like describing how you, like, what people admire about you. But, like, honestly, like, I just think that individually, you guys, all of you that are watching this pile, it's like each of you are so different from one another that I just feel like it would be impossible to 100% nail down exactly what you guys are like as individuals to kind of paint a picture as to why people admire you. But I feel like that in itself is something that is the ultimate testimony to why you're so admired and so likable and so, you know, like surreal, like I've been saying, is because like even though like there are people like you, they're not 100% like you. You know what I'm saying? Like you are that unique from person to person watching this pile. But I think that I can confidently say that for across the board, you guys are all very unique and you guys are all very eclectic, very different, very colorful, and very, I don't know how to say it, like assorted, you know? Anyways, let's get right into the tarot. Why do people admire, or what do people admire about pile 3? What do people admire about pile 3? Okay, for your cards we have the 9 of Wands. We have 8 of Wands. And then on the bottom of the deck so far we have the Fool. I really like the 8 of Wands with the 9 of Wands because it really, like, I'm not really paying too much attention to the literal meaning of the cards. I'm kind of looking at the imagery, and this 8 of Wands imagery is really giving me like performance vibes, you know, because like these flowers look like they're being thrown, and it makes me think of like, you know, like after a performance or something, like people throw roses and stuff, and I'm just feeling like once again, like you are a walking show, you know, like you could literally perform, you could quite literally, you know, you could be a content creator of some sort. So you could do YouTube, you could do, you know, like you could be on Instagram, you could be like a TikTok content creator, whatever it may be, you know. But it's just like there's something about you that's very unique and something that people really want to protect. I'm feeling like people are very protective over you, and regardless of your status in the social setting, it's pretty safe to say that like there are a group of people that are very obsessed with you or very protective over you, whether you realize it or not. It could be just people that watch you from afar, or it could be literally your friends, your family, you know, romantic partners. But with the 9 of Wands, I also feel like people really admire you for your resistance. And I just feel like, I don't know, like the 9 of Wands is giving me this vibe that like you've really gone through a lot. I think that you guys, because like you guys are so emotional, I think that the way that you all face things and the way that all of you deal with your issues or, you know, your whatnot, you know, life in general, obviously you guys take it a little bit more, you guys take it a little harder than everyone else because you are so sentient and you are so emotional, you know? So as a result, I'm just feeling like you guys deal with a lot of things at a more deeper level. But because of that, I'm just feeling like as a result of your deeper emotions and as a result of you experiencing things at a more visceral level, quite literally for some of you, it's the way when you come out of it, what you're able to put out into the world and what you're able to transmute in the process is truly beautiful and something that other people really admire, you know, whether it be like drawing something, putting something to words, you know, like telling people about it, or even just simply expressing yourself in the ways that you know, even just telling someone about how you feel. People really admire you because you're able to put feelings to words, you know? And not a lot of people can do that, pile 3. You'd be absolutely surprised. I'm feeling like the things that you feel as if though other people should do, or, you know, like, oh, I thought everyone did this, or you feel like, oh, everyone should be on that, you know? It's one of those things where, like, yeah, maybe everyone should be doing it, but they're not. So as a result, like, can you give yourself some credit? You're very bashful, I'm feeling. You guys could be very modest about it. But just know that even if you are giving yourself credit, pile 3, you really aren't giving yourself enough, because if you could just meet yourself from an outside perspective, or if you could have people that knew you, or like, you know, like if you could just see yourself from a completely different perspective, like even this reading isn't really doing it justice, you would really understand what a beautiful person you are and how much capacity you have and how much love and energy you have for this lifetime, and how you're really able to bring beauty into anything without even knowing it, you know? I'm feeling like you guys are very good at decorating. You could be very good at decorating homes. You could be literally doing something for fashion or decorating homes, like interior design. either that, or you just have like a very nice home, or you have, you know, like you dress very nice, you know. People really admire you for the superficial things, but as they get to know you more, they really appreciate it more at a deeper level, because you are putting so much meaning behind expressing yourself. And, you know, like why you do things is like clearly very, it's intentional, you know what I mean? I don't think that you do anything carelessly, or you do anything, you know, with a light heart. I think that you're very serious about things, and that you are very deeply committed to your values, your morals, your feelings, and how you allow those things to kind of project, and how those things kind of come off of you, you know? And definitely, once again, just another case of like, I'm feeling like as people get to know you more and more, they only begin to appreciate and admire you even more exponentially, you know? Because it's just like, you know, at face value, you're very pretty, you're very cool, you're very interesting, and you're very intriguing, and you have a lot of layers to you. But as people get to know you more, it's just the fact that every single layer has a story behind it, every single layer is intentional, and that you're not just doing it just to do it, you know? And I'm feeling like a lot of people really admire that, because it's just like, they don't, it's just interesting how everything in your life has a place, and how everything is of value, you know? Like, you're a quality over quantity kind of person, and there's a lot of people that can't really match up to that energy. And the fact that you have a finer taste, and that you know what you want when your feelings are matching up, is just phenomenal. It's literally like, to some people it's like abnormal, because they don't know how you do it, you know? Yeah, let's pull another card to see what the vibe is. Two of Cups. Oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful card. Literally my favorite card of the whole tarot. But I'm feeling like with the Two of Cups here, this kind of goes a bunch of ways. I'm feeling like a lot of people could have been very attracted to you. I wouldn't be surprised if you've had a lot of admirers, or a lot of people that have literally fallen in love with you without you even realizing. You doubt it, Pile 3, but maybe you don't doubt it. Whether or not you do or don't doubt it, just know there are a lot of people that have been very attracted to you and loved you, you know, unconditionally too. But aside from that, I also feel like the Two of Cups could show that, like, your relationship with yourself, and your relationship with your emotions, and how you attach to different things in your life is very beautiful, and it's very admirable. Because I'm just feeling like the way you're able to see value in things. Oh my gosh, Pile 3. The way you're able to give value to things, and the way you're able to see things for their worth, like at an unconditional and transparent level at the same time, is just it's amazing. It's out of this world. It's really like, I don't know how to say it. I'm trying to like put a word to it. It's just like, it's magical, you know? I feel like there's no other way to put it, you know? It's magical, it's surreal, it's dreamlike, it's like it's like pinch me kind of vibes, you know? And I'm feeling like, you know, like, it's the way you're able to make something so simple, so like beautiful, and so meaningful, you know? I'm feeling like you really are able to take things to like a deeper level. Like, for example, like, you have coffee with someone every single morning, you know, like, you have your coffee with someone every morning, and to them it could just be like, oh, like, have coffee with my bestie, or, you know, like, my significant other or whatever. But to you it's like, oh, like, you know, it's quality time with you, it's very ritualistic for me, like, I look forward to it, you know? It's just the time of day where nothing else matters, and it's just this piece of the day that is carved out specifically for this moment. And it's just like, every day it's the same thing, but with something new, you know? Like, you are the coffee, like, you are the cream, like, the coffee, like, we're like coffee and cream. It makes me think of that. There's this movie called Tom and Jerry the movie. And I remember there's this line, like, I don't know, it's like coffee and cream, boy, what a team. I don't know. You have to look it up. It's like the friendship song. It's super cute. I'm sure you guys would love it. You would love it. I don't know. Anyways, let's pull the last two cards here. We also have King of Cups. And we have the Seven of Pentacles. Pile 2 got these two cards as well. But, you know, I'm just feeling like the King of Cups with the Seven of Pentacles here, I also feel like gives me this vibe that, like, you're able to make progress with your emotions. I'm feeling like the way that you have developed your emotional maturity has definitely been a journey. I think that with the 9 of Wands here, with the 7 of Pentacles, and just like all the other references in this reading really shows that like at your core you've always been emotional, you've always been, you know, very aware and very conscious. But also I think that the way that you've handled your emotions and reacted and expressed them has drastically changed over the years, you know. And I'm feeling like maybe there was a time in your life where the way you expressed your emotions was toxic, you know, or maybe you've been hurt before or something of that nature, you know. I'm just feeling like through adversity and through change and pain, you really do come out of it like even better, you know. I'm feeling like you are the kind of person that if someone breaks your heart or someone like literally dismantles your whole life or something, it's just like you will suffer greatly, but the way that you come out of it like a phoenix out of the ashes is crazy. It is like jaw dropping. It's like literally like it's a spectacle, you know, because you're able to come out of something like tenfold, you know. Like if someone steals, like this is like such a like a it's such a materialistic perspective, or like it's such a materialistic metaphor, but you know, like if someone takes $10 from you or steals it from you, you will receive $100 back from the universe, you know. Or like, you know what I mean? It's just like if someone breaks your heart, like a few months later, you will have a full glow up. Even though you were like already hot in the first place, it's like you got even hotter, and like somehow like you also like got richer. And you know what I mean? It's just like you're able to overcome anything and come out of it even stronger, even more beautiful. And it's just like no permanent damage can ever be done to you. And that is something that people really admire about you, because it's just like you have this unwavering beauty and emotionality about you that has always been there, like I keep saying, but it's just like the way that you express it has become a lot more personal, a lot more exciting, a lot more unique to you, despite the fact that there are so many other emotional people, you know. But yeah, I think I'm just going to sum up your reading, pile 3, by saying that I'm feeling like the reason people really admire you, or like what people really admire you for, is the fact that like you have like this like you're just very exciting, you know, and something about you is very fun, very adventurous, and I'm feeling like you guys really are willing to try new things. I think that you guys are very much up for trying anything new and really broadening your horizons. I think that you guys have a huge appetite for learning about things, especially outside of your culture. And maybe you guys with the Sagittarius energy here, if you are Sag rising, or like, you know, if you have Sagittarius or like Jupiter or like Neptune, I'm feeling like you guys maybe really like learning, or you guys know more languages, or you're just very educated about different cultures, different philosophies, different religions, practices, anything of that nature, you know. You're just someone who knows a lot, and you're very intelligent, and you know a lot of things outside of your own culture, your own knowledge, and you know, like anything that you were raised on, you know. And it's just like that's definitely something that another thing that people really admire you for, is because you're so educated and you just know so much. And some people really find it attractive, you know, and some people may look towards you as like a teacher of some sorts. But as a whole, I'm feeling like you guys have also tolerated a lot in this lifetime, but the way that you have overcome adversity in your life and big changes by coming out on top of a better relationship with yourself and your emotions, and the way that you interact with the physical world is just something that's so beautiful, and a lot of people really admire you for it. And there's just this unwavering tenacity about you that is just so beautiful and so amazing, you know. Very otherworldly, very extraterrestrial, if you know what I mean. Like I just keep thinking of the word sparkly. Like you probably literally glow. Like you literally sparkle, you know. I don't know, like there's just something about you that really shows like a uniqueness and beauty that can't be found in other people, even though those other people could be just like you, you know. It's just like no one of you is completely the same as another person watching this pile, you know. But yeah, that's all I have for you, pile 3. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the reading resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like a personal reading, I do offer those in my Etsy shop, which is linked down below in the description box below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Again, I love you. Bye. Hello, pile 4. If you chose the Black Line Tarot, this is going to be your reading for what do people admire about you. Now, for pile 3 onwards to now, I have turned on the lamp because it is dark outside. Or at least, like, it's, like, just, like, not light enough, you know? But yeah. Before we get into the tarot, I do want to get some oracle cards out here. And I've been telling this to every single pile, but I just like I've been using the guidebook for this deck because I just love the context it provides. And I love how it starts off the reading, you know what I mean? And also, I told this to every pile too, but I feel like I'm doing the creator justice by using the guidebook because the guidebook is so big and they clearly put so much effort into it, you know? I don't know. Anyways, what do people admire about pile 4? What do people admire about pile 4? What do people admire about pile 4? Okay, we have Muse of Music. You might have really good music taste. I don't know. I get those vibes from you. Anyways, let's get into some more oracle cards, and then I will pull out the book. Oh my gosh. I just thought of like a Scooby-Doo thing. I just thought of like Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost and how Ben Ravencraft was like really obsessed with Sarah's book. And so like the whole movie he was just like, you know, really trying to get his hands on that book. And I feel like maybe one thing people really admire about you is that when you want something, like you will want it until you get it. I don't know. What do people admire about pile 4? Have you guys seen that movie? What do people admire about pile 4? I don't know. It's one of my favorite movies. What do people admire about pile 4? What do people admire about pile 4? What do people admire about pile 4? Oh, wow. While I'm getting that card off the floor, if you like the 4 Scooby-Doo movies, Alien Invaders and stuff, there's this channel called Offbeat Kiki, and they did a video documentary of them, and they're so nice. I highly recommend them. Okay, we have Fishing Pole, and we have Fishhook. Interesting that we have 2 cards about fishing, and once again, going back to the fact that you're probably somebody who is very patient. I feel like fishing in general is just like a very patient-oriented activity. I have never tried it. I would never be able to. I would lose my mind after 3 minutes. I'd be like, why are there no fish? And they'd be like, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Anyways, with the fishing pole and just all these cards together. Oh, I forgot to pull out the guidebook. I'm a mess right now. I'm a mess in this pile. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know how to act no more. Looking for it. Alright, here goes. Muse of Music. Singing, playing, sound healing, unifier. The Muse of Music is asking you to tap into the flow of music by picking up an instrument or singing, or by putting on a record that deeply inspires you. Without our imagination, an instrument lies cold and unanimated. You hold the power to breathe life into your instrument, to create a sound that is truly your own. This muse wants to channel her song through you. Honestly, that gave me a bunch of different vibes because it gives me this feeling that you really know how to understand something, or you really know how to kind of acclimate to something, you know? Okay, there's a bunch of different things here. But, you know, like, as it said, like, if you don't know how to play an instrument, it's just one of those things where the more you know and the more you practice and the more you're able to put your mind to it, it's exactly how much of it you're going to get out of it. So with that being said, and the context that's been provided in the beginning of the reading, I'm just feeling like one thing people really admire about you is the fact that you're really able to put effort into something, and the fact that you genuinely have skill, you know, cultivated skills. It may be music. You could be a musician. You could play an instrument. You could, you know, sing. Doesn't really matter. But it could also be anything outside of that, you know. Like, you could be very good at art. You could be very good at drawing. You could be very good at knitting. You could be very good. You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't really matter what it is that you're very good at. But the point is that it's something that you have poured a lot of effort into to become good at, you know. It's something that you practice. It's something that you believe in and resonate with. And I feel like that in its own is something that people really admire about you, is the fact that if you don't resonate with something, if you're not feeling something, you simply will not do it, I just feel like you're a very committed person in that sense, in that you really won't live untruthfully, especially because maybe for some of you, you did live untruthfully before. We have Virgo and Aquarius energy here, and I just feel like, especially with Aquarius here, I just feel like a lot of Aquariuses have one time in their life tried to fit in, but it just simply didn't work, it wasn't cutting it just caused them to be even more hurt and to feel even more ostracized. And maybe because when you were trying to step out of that, people would call you like, like an attention seeker or something like that. But I feel like now that you have truly invested in yourself and that you aren't too concerned with other people's opinions, you are moving away from being powerless, feeling helpless, all these keywords on here, it literally says like vulnerable, trap, temptation, bait, con game, resourcefulness, like all these words that kind of shows me that like through feeling powerless and through feeling like your power was taken away, but you grabbed it back, you took it back, and now you are relying on yourself. And now I feel like the very thing that people probably used to shame you for, or, like look at you sideways for, whether or not you felt it, are the things that people really admire you for. And maybe if it isn't necessarily that you were being shamed for it, but maybe at some point you were embarrassed about it, I feel like those could be the two examples that could be presented here that could apply to the vast majority of you. It could really be any other scenario, but I'm just feeling like those are the two relevant ones. And I feel like with the fishing, like I feel like you really do embody that energy of the longer you wait around, the more likely it is for you to get your foot in the door, And not to say that like all you did was play a waiting game, all you did was do nothing, and just wait around. I'm feeling like you guys, on top of waiting and being patient, you really invested a lot more resources into the cause, and that is definitely something that people really admire you for. Like people, maybe you get a lot of comments of people being like, I could never, or not comments, but like maybe people tell you all the time like, oh, I could never do that, or I could never do what you did, and take this in whatever context that you wish, it could really apply in any area of your life. But like people being like, oh, like I could never do what you do, or like, oh wow, like how are you so good, like oh wow, like I just don't know how you do, like I could never, and maybe you take those comments a specific way, or like those like phrases or whatever it may be. Just because I feel like you, at some point, were the same way, I just feel like you have that actual drive and the passion to really get you through some things and to really overcome obstacles and blockages in the journeys that you take to get to a point in your life, And what I mean by that is like, like if you're passionate about something, you will do whatever it takes to get yourself to it, you will do whatever it takes to achieve a goal in regards to your passion, that's what I'm trying to say. And people really admire that about you because one, they really admire that it's just really admirable in general that you are passionate about something or that you really do care about something at all. Because I just feel like there's a lot of people that have been around you that haven't been passionate about something, or they're very apathetic, or they're just not as motivated or as, like fired up as you are to get onto things like you do. And once again, just another testimony as to what people admire about you and why people really, look up to you, And you could be a very influential person within your family or within like your group of friends or just people around you, Maybe sometimes you're very ahead of the trend. I sense a lot of 11th house energy here. I feel like maybe like, for example, like if you have long hair, like maybe there's a time in your life where you really liked scrunchies, and you were like using scrunchies, and then suddenly scrunchies like blew up and like the Visco girl aesthetic came out, and you're like, girl, like I literally was using scrunchies and y'all just, you know what I mean? Or like you were into baggy clothes before baggy clothes became like the trend, and now you're like, oh wow, like what else is new, And I just feel like you've always been put in this position where you were a little bit like a step ahead of the trend simply because you are doing what looks good and you are doing what feels right, And obviously like I'm applying it to the fashion sense, so it could be relevant to fashion, it could be relevant to clothing. The way you express yourself through clothing and the way you dress yourself is something that people could admire you for. But outside of that, I just feel like there's this thing that you are onto something and you learn things and you discover things way before people do, For example, maybe you discover a park way before other people know about this park, and then a bunch of people start coming to it, Or maybe you're the one that puts them on, just little scenarios like that, to where people really admire the fact that you do you and that you are only concerned about yourself. You're betting on yourself, and so as a result, you tend to get ahead of things, or you tend to, beat people to the punch, simply because you are exploring yourself, and you're not too concerned or held back by trying to appease other people or please other people. Because I feel like for a lot of you, you could have dealt with that for a very long time in your life, where you're trying to, like, cookie cut yourself into a position to appease others, or to feel like other people really, cared about you, or something of that nature, And I just feel like that's something that you're very fed up with, and something that you don't really feed into anymore. And I think that that is another testimony as to why people admire you, because, they really admire that you overcame something that a lot of people can't do, A lot of people can't just break away from the trend. A lot of people can't really just like, do them. And maybe you don't give yourself enough credit for it, because you're like, oh, like, everyone should be doing them, everyone should be investing in themselves and things like that. But as true as that is, pile 4, it's just the reality of it is that not a lot of people do that, if any. And I just think that that's another thing that people really admire you for, and something that maybe you should give yourself a little bit more credit for, even if you do, because I feel like you could be giving yourself exponentially more credit for yourself, especially after what you have gone through in this lifetime. But yeah, I just think it really is another, like, it speaks to how humble and modest you are, and how, like, maybe even a little bit bashful you can be, to the fact that, like, you do something that is not really asked of you, but the fact that you do it, and the fact that you do it with such, like, finesse and elegance, and, like, maybe even a little bit of sass, like, you don't even realize that. I don't know, just something of that nature that shows that, like, you're very confident in what you do, and you're very confident in the skills that you possess. And just a lot of people don't really understand that it took work to get to where you are, and it took effort to cultivate the skills that you have. And so I just think that it's another situation of, like, people don't really get it, But that's why they admire you, because they don't get it, And I'm not saying, like, oh, like, they admire you because they don't understand, but I just feel like that's a narrative of the masses that could really admire you, But I feel like for other people, it could just be the fact that they know of what you've gone through, and they know of your growth, and they know, you know what I mean? It's just, like, even at a deeper, like, it doesn't matter if it's at a deeper or superficial level. Either way, it's just something to really admire you for, All right. What do people admire about pile 4? I should have told you we're getting to the tarot, but I felt like you knew, because I don't know. What do people admire about pile 4? What do people admire about pile 4? Okay, we have 7 of Swords, and we have Queen of Pentacles. And then on the bottom of the deck so far, we have 10 of Wands. Interesting lineup here. I feel like the 7 of Swords, with this fox being here, it really makes me feel like you're really smart and very innovative. You give off, like, inventor vibes, especially with this Aquarius vibe here. You could be somebody who is, like, a small business owner, or you could be, like, you could be a content creator, or you could just create content, or something of that nature, I feel like that's very relevant in this reading, because once again, it just shows that, like, you're paving a path for a lot of people that are just like you, whether you intend to or not. But I do think that with the Queen of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands on the bottom of the deck, you're a very hard worker. And I think that that is definitely another thing that people really admire you for. But in, like, a very specific way, in the sense that you're very consistent and you really show up, even on the days that you don't want to. It makes me think of, like, those, like, gym motivational quote things, where it's like, the days that you really don't want to go to the gym are the days that matter the most, because it's just like, it speaks volumes about your discipline, how you've been raised, and, all those things, And I just feel like discipline is a very relevant word here, because once again, it's just like, I feel like you're a very disciplined person, and you're somebody who is very behaved and very smart, and someone who just generally knows better, I feel like you're not the kind of person to kind of, like, act a fool, or to kind of, like, take anything for granted. I feel like you have a very mature outtake and perspective on so many different aspects of your life, and that is definitely something that another thing that a lot of people admire you for, because it's just like, you work so hard, and people, like, you work so hard for what you get, but you never, like, you're always working, but you never take the things that you have gotten in your life for granted, you know? I just feel like you're one of those people that has really come from rock bottom, or you're just somebody who has developed a very good perspective based on what others have seen, you know? And I just feel like that's another reason as to why people may admire you, you know? It's just the fact that you practice so much wisdom and that you learn from not only your mistakes but other people's mistakes, and that because of that, like, you are just so intelligent and so very good at navigating situations in which maybe is a little bit complicated, you know? I feel like Seven of Swords, you know, is a very complicated card, very complicated energy. Sorry, I got the low battery notification on my phone, but I was just saying, like, you know, like, complicated situation, and Seven of Swords could be very dishonest energy. And I also feel like with the Queen of Pentacles and Seven of Swords, you're probably very good at debunking things, or you're probably very good at, like, solving things. You're probably very good at, like, you know, like, puzzles, or, you know, like Sudoku or something of that nature, you know? That's definitely something you could probably solve a Rubik's Cube, honestly. And I feel like that's another thing that people admire you for. I know it's silly, but I just feel like it's one of those things that comes through. And I also just feel like, you know what I mean? Like, you have a puzzle mind. You're somebody who's very good at solving things, and maybe because of that, you could have a knack for, like, true crime or, like, mysteries, or, like, reading a lot of books and stuff like that. It's just, you're constantly intaking information, and you're constantly learning how to better your life and to constantly get better at the things that you are passionate about. You know, like, you just are very driven and you're very motivated in this lifetime. And you know the saying, like, people just really admire you for it, you know? And when I say, like, admire, I feel like I've been saying that word over and over, but I just want to say that there's a lot of people that wish that they could have, like, the discipline or the progress that you have, you know? I wouldn't be surprised if there's, like, a lot of lazy people that have been around you, and they're like, wow, I wish I could, like, look like you, or, oh, wow, I wish I could have as much as you, or, oh, wow, you know, all these things. And you're like, girl, like, it just took time, it took work, you know? There's no way you can just get it, you know? And I just feel like that's another thing that's just so, like, cool about it, you know? It's because all of these nice things that you have implemented into your life are a result of your blood, sweat, and tears, you know? And definitely something that people may even envy you for if they don't know the context in which that you have put in the work to get those things, you know? But yeah. Let's pull another card. We also have Two of Swords. I feel like the Two of Swords, it's interesting that we have two swords cards already. I just feel like it goes to show that, like, maybe with the Two of Swords, you could be, like, an indecisive person. I feel like with the Seven of Swords and Two of Swords, maybe you're the kind of person that, like, doesn't broadcast their decisions unless you have made up your mind, you know? I feel like the way you come off is very decisive and very, like, you know exactly what it is that you want, despite the fact that maybe you're actually a little bit, like, aloof and a little bit non-committal, or, you know, very indecisive, because maybe you keep things behind closed doors, you know? But I feel like it's just another one of those situations where you're very humble, because just like any other human being, you're very, you know, like, you can be indecisive, you won't know where to eat, or you won't know what to do with yourself at times, you know? I just feel like the Two of Swords and Seven of Swords really goes back to the fact that you are a human, you feel anxiety, you feel all these things, and I feel like people really admire you because they see that you embrace these things and acknowledge these things about yourself, you know? You're just so comfortable with yourself. You know what I'm saying, pile 4? I feel like, you know, like, you're kind of like, oh, like, you know, I have anxiety, or, like, you know, I'm like this, or, you know, I get nervous, or, you know, I catch feelings, whatever the case may be. I'm just like everybody else. I have feelings. Maybe I don't express them the same way, you know, but it's just the fact that you're so accepting and so exalted within your existence to where you understand it to a certain degree of being conscious of the discomforts and, you know, like, you know, just nerve-wracking aspects of being alive, you know, especially with the Ten of Wands. I'm pretty confident in saying that you guys go through a lot, and that you guys put a lot of effort into your life, and that you guys get very tired, you know, you guys get very exhausted, and you probably have so little time for the things that you love. But the point is that you make time for those things, you know. You're probably a very busy person. You may always be working, you may always be doing something, you may just always be occupied with something, but it's just when something really catches your attention, or when there's something that you really care about, you can and will make the time for it. And I'm feeling like this is something that people really love about you, especially your friends and your loved ones, you know. it's just like you make it a point to show up for these people, and you make it a point to show up for those that really care about you, love you, and vice versa. You love and care about them, and I just feel like it's a situation of like they really appreciate they really love you because, and they admire you too, because you really have a grasp of your life. You really understand yourself, your own limits, and how to push yourself and practice discipline when it counts. And not to say that you overwork yourself constantly, maybe sometimes you do, but I just feel like generally you aren't always pushing yourself, or you aren't always like working yourself or doing something to oblivion. I feel like it's pretty safe to say that, like, obviously, like, you guys will put in all that effort, but there are times where you will draw boundaries, and you will understand that there are times to take a break, and that there are times where you will get burnt out, and it's nothing more than something else to push through and something else to heal from and recuperate from. I'm gonna pull 2 more cards here. We also have Queen of Cups, and we have the Emperor. I love the Queen of Cups and the Emperor together. I just feel like it really shows that you act on your feelings, and that you are somebody that does consider their feelings when it comes to living about your life, And I just feel like the reason I'm saying that is because, once again, with what you have gone through in your life, I think that a lot of detachment themes, or a lot of like apathy and things of that nature, were very relevant, and apply those in however they resonate. But what I'm trying to say here is that, once again, I feel like your past is something that is important to bring up when it comes to admiration for you, because through your overcoming of adversity and painful changes and realities and losses in your life comes the laudability and the credibility of somebody who truly has gone through things but still remains disciplined, humble, and intelligent and abundant, essentially, And it's just like, it doesn't really matter what has gone on in your past. I feel like I could sit here and, like, all day, all night, list what possibilities you guys could have gone through when it comes to, your losses and what's gone on in your past. And when I say that, I don't mean to say like, oh, like, you've had a rough past, or like, you've really gone through the rakes and stuff. It's just, obviously there was good things about it, and obviously that, I'm just saying, like, you guys have gone through things like other people, but it's just like the way that you chose to transmute all of that energy and to learn from it and grow from it and implement those lessons into your life is just something that people really admire you for, because I just feel like it's this sign of maturity and the sign of like wisdom and an old soul, or somebody who is very good at navigating confusing or difficult situations that may evoke anxiety and indecision, And with the Queen of Cups and the Emperor, I just feel like those are like polar opposites, besides, like the Empress, because it shows me that, like, you're very emotional and a very sentient person, and you're somebody who really cares, and you're somebody who, just, I should cover up this card so like YouTube doesn't like ruin my life. But anyways, what I'm just trying to say here is that, like, I feel like these 2 cards are like polar opposites, and the Emperor is more about go-getter and, being more impulsive and following that first gut instinct, but I feel like the Queen of Cups is more about like feeling out your feelings more and kind of thinking about things, especially with the 2 of Cups being right before it, But yeah, I think I'm just going to sum up your reading, pile 4, and just say that I feel like a lot of your admiration and a lot of why people admire you definitely stems from the feelings that you have felt in the past and how you have implemented the lessons from them, and also just like your great taste in different forms of art. I feel like you're very educated when it comes to art and different forms of expression, and I feel like with the 7 of Swords and 2 of Swords, people really admire you for the fact that you can navigate difficult, confusing situations where people may be lying to you, or people may be, being dishonest with you, and the fact that, like, maybe you will deal with hardships in your life, but you will still overcome it. You will come out on top, and you will get what you want from the situation. I feel like that is the best way to sum it up, pile 4. I'm just gonna end it at that. Like, the biggest reason, and the overall, like, looking at this whole reading, the reason people, like, what people really admire about you is that in the grand scheme of things, you will always get what you want. So yeah, that's all I have for you, pile 4. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the reading resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like a personal reading, I do offer those in my Etsy shop, which is linked down below in the description box below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Again, I love you. Bye.